There are many misconceptions regarding what philosophy is and its role in our thinking. Amongst the lay people, it's taken to be a rather pointless endeavour, constantly asking why with regards to issues which common sense is taken to have already provided answers to. But of course, this is not what philosophy is, or really what it aims to do. That said, trying to figure out what philosophy is no easy task. It's not like science, where we can roughly state that science is the observation of things in nature in order to gain insight or understanding into how they work. On the basis of these observations, we can make laws and theories which are taken to accurately predict the way things in nature will behave in a given circumstance or set of circumstances. Now, that is a very loose and general definition of science. However, the fact that I'm able to succinctly give some sort of explanation as to what scientists are up to attests to the uniformity of its method. Philosophy simply isn't like that. There are different styles of philosophy, different approaches to answering questions, from the production of logically structured argument to dense descriptive work and rather poetic prose. That said, there are attempts to explain exactly what philosophy is, and this field is called metaphilosophy. Gilbert Ryle famously stated that we run worse, not better, if we think a lot about our feet, so let us not speak of philosophy, but just do it. In other words, rather than think about what philosophy is, it is in fact the kind of thing we should just do. Similarly, Martin Heidegger warned us that we must ensure that we tarry within philosophy rather than hang above or outside of it. However, what is it that we take ourselves to be doing when we do philosophy? A useful way to look at what philosophers are up to, and one which you'll notice throughout this series, is their inquiries generally take the form, what is X, where X is some concept or other. For example, what is being, what is knowledge, what is time, what is freedom, and many more. Different questions fall within different fields of philosophy, such as ontology, epistemology, metaphysics, and more. Socrates was the first real master of this line of questioning, which became known as the ELENCHUS, a sort of exchange of questions whereby Socrates would reveal the confusion at the heart of a simple concept by asking people what they think it is. His interlocutors would often give him examples of a concept without ever informing Socrates of what the concept actually is, what it is that all those examples have in common. But therein lies the rub. What we often take to be obvious is shrouded in confusion and ambiguity when we begin to question the nature of that thing. Philosophy, then, can be seen as asking the right questions, and in providing careful answers to those questions, come up with a set of ideas that help to clarify that once confused concept. Now, as with all things in the development of human thought, some ideas in the history of philosophy, whilst important, were a bit wide of the mark, which brings me to my next point. Philosophy is not a set of personal opinions of which there are no wrong answers. Plenty of philosophical theories over the years have been taken to be implausible, wrong, or even abandoned completely. One great example of this is Meinong's jungle, whereby Alexius Meinong, in order to account for the fact that we refer to non-existent things, such as square circles, proposed that such non-existent things must actually subsist in some form. They have sosein, or being so, but do not have the full ontological status of real things. This realm of entities with sosein became known as Meinong's jungle, and is widely regarded as a bit of a blunder in modern philosophy. Similarly, Aristotle's assertion that earthquakes were caused by underground winds is something of a misstep in the history of thought. Philosophers have been wrong many times, and it's usually other philosophers who point out the flaws in a line of reasoning. There is something characteristic about philosophy that other disciplines don't tend to have, that of leading us to live our lives a specific way. In fact, some philosophers produce such powerful treatises, it's almost difficult to go back to the way one lived before reading their work. Philosophy seeks to answer questions about concepts and ideas so fundamental to the way we live and think that we are ultimately led to reevaluate the way we go through life. Now, I'm not entirely sure this is the aim of a philosopher. However, when questioning the legitimacy of certain concepts, one cannot help but see life differently afterwards. It has to be said that this isn't always the case. Some see philosophy as more of a technical discipline, and the work of such thinkers is highly academicised. There is something to both of these views of philosophy. On the one hand, when a theory has great practical significance, it often leads to change for the better. On the other hand, taking philosophy seriously as a rigorous form of inquiry helps to circumnavigate the notion that it is useless and without value. So, what is philosophy? In short, philosophy is an argumentative discipline that attempts to clarify the fundamental concepts of human thought by asking the right questions and carefully reconstructing concepts on the basis of answers to these questions. It is 3,000 years of human critical thought. It is revolutionary, error-defining, and culturally significant. It can be dangerous, emancipating, and always insightful. Philosophy is our collective attempt to better understand our existence and the way we relate to ourselves and each other. We find ourselves in a world, and philosophy can and often does help us to understand this dizzying condition.